لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعمه العادون ولا يودي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بعد الهمم ولا يناله غوص الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نحد موجود ولا وقت معدود ولا أجل ممدود فضل الخلائق بقدرته ونشر رياح برحمته وودد بالصخور ميدان أرضه ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي القرشي الهاشمي المكي المدني سيدنا ومولانا وطبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الميامين المنتجبين لا سيما بقية الله العالم في الأرضين أرواحنا وأرواح العالمين لمقدمه الفدا أما بعد ربي ألهمني التقوى وانتفني بالهدى صلوات على محمد وعليه السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. And I would like to extend my felicitations and congratulations to you, to the Mu'min and Mu'minat, to the Ulama and Maraji today, and of course most importantly to the Imam of our time, on this very auspicious and beautiful occasion of the birth of our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is a very important occasion. It is a very powerful occasion. It is a very uniting occasion. It is an occasion that across the world the Muslimin are celebrating. They are participating in many different occasions, just like this one that we have here, in different parts of the country, in Minnesota, in Chicago, in Texas, in New York, in New Jersey, California, wherever else in the world, the Muslimin are getting together and have a week of unity. This is known as the week of Ittihad and unity, while we as Muslims can come together on this uniting factor, which is the personality and the history of the Holy Prophet. So it's important, I think extremely important for us to pay attention to this week and how it can bring the Muslimin of the world together. Because it is the birth anniversary of our leader, it is the birth anniversary of our founder, it is the birth anniversary of someone who has given us identity, of someone who has given us hope, of someone who has given us strength, of someone who has given us purpose in this life and meaning in this life. Before that, the people of the world were living in a very dark time, were living in a very confused time. And that is when the Holy Prophet arrived and he came to them and he brought them discipline, and he brought them strength, and he brought them unity, and he brought them direction, so that that small group of people who were lost and confused, who the Persians thought were only a group of people living in the wilderness, who the Egyptians said, we have the pyramids, but these people have nothing, who the Byzantines said that we have Christianity, but these people have no faith or no prophet. The Jews said, we have the scripture, but these are the Ummiyin, these are the unlettered people. And I don't mean the Arabs as an ethnic group. I don't mean the Arabs as a community. I mean those believers and those Mu'mineen who took on the true identity of Islam and took on the true identity of the followers of the Ahlul Bayt. Salawat ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So inshallah, please move forward just a little bit as more Mu'mineen continue to come in. And inshallah, with our body heat, this will increase. Now, every time there is misguidance, every time there is error, every time there are mistakes, we have to go back to the Holy Prophet. Every time there are actions such as the actions of Jahiliyyah and the actions of ignorance, we have to go back to the message of the Holy Prophet. We have to go back to the actions of the Holy Prophet. We have to start seeking guidance as if no one came. Because even though this is a very happy occasion and it continues to be, we cannot ignore the facts that happen in the world today. Even my topic was something else while I was preparing, but I want to take some time to comment on what happened in the world today. As you know, very sadly, a few days ago in France, there were some people, I don't know if we can call them human beings. I don't know if we can call them the children of Adam. Maybe the children of Iblis, maybe the children of Shaitan. They came to an office building where people were working and they took lives. They took 12 innocent lives. Supposedly, in the name of Islam and supposedly in the defense of the Holy Prophet. I will say that the only people benefiting from this kind of criminal activity, the only people benefiting from this kind of atrocity, the only people benefiting from this kind of terrorism are those people who want to remove the name of Muhammad from Europe, are those people who want to remove the recitation of Quran from the masajid in Europe, are those people who want to create a civil war in France and other places so that Islam becomes something that is demonized, so that Islam becomes something that is hated, so that the name of Islam is associated with something that people only fear. May Allah curse these people who are simply going around and in the name of attempting to defend the name of Muhammad, they are only destroying it. In the name of trying to purify or claiming to purify the name of Muhammad, they are only polluting it with their own actions and with the blood of innocent people. So really something sad, and the people who did this chose very carefully this week of unity. They chose very carefully this week of the Milad of the Holy Prophet, where either on the 12th or on the 17th, these 5 days, our Sunni brothers, they celebrate on the 12th, we celebrate on the 17th. That gives us more time, more days between the 12th and the 17th to come together. Be that in Iraq, be that in India or Pakistan, be that in Africa, be that in Turkey, be that in Europe, be that in this part of the world where we have different Muslim communities celebrating the birth of the Holy Prophet, which has been a traditional practice. These people chose this day in order to commit such an act. Salawat ala Muhammad. So sadly, my brothers and sisters, this happened. So we as Muslimin, we as followers of the Holy Prophet, we today sitting here celebrating the birth of the Holy Prophet, we condemn these actions. This is one. The second thing I want to say to you is that we should not become apologists on the other side. The magazine that was there, the magazine which was attacked, was a magazine which in the artistic world, in the cartoon world, was not something that was respected. They were someone on the edge, and they used to disrespect and they used to insult every single religious tradition. They used to insult the Catholics. I don't know if they insulted the Jewish community. They insulted different religions. We don't understand this in America, but we have to understand that this tradition of political cartoons is a long history in Europe, because the separation between religion and state was a very bloody separation in Europe, and that happened. So these people were there. These cartoons were insulting to Muslimin. These cartoons were not correct. These cartoons were not those cartoons that should have been there to send a message. They are not sending any kind of message. They are just lampooning. And lampooning by itself is not something that is respectful or has any substance or has any material to it. They want to criticize Islam, they can criticize Islam, but in a way that that criticism is received, correct? If I want to criticize you, I will not draw something against you, someone who you love, and just put it there without saying anything. You will be upset. And no message will be relayed. You will only start hating this person. That's what happened. We do not agree with the fact that going and hurting these people was the answer. No, maybe dialogue, maybe discussion, something peaceful. That is the sunnah of the Holy Prophet. But these people, their cartoons are not something. I don't want people going around and saying, okay, every cartoon is okay now. Even if you insult Islam, we will not protest with our tongue only. No, protest with your tongue, protest with your pen. Your pen is more powerful than the sword. That is the way you can come and talk about Islam and spreading the message of the Holy Prophet amongst the people. Using the weapon is not the sunnah of the Holy Prophet. This is something briefly I just wanted to stress. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The second thing, my brothers and sisters, is our topic tonight is not any argument that we are making. It is simply a discussion of the fadail and the virtues and the place of the Siraj Munir, of the blessed light, of the one who has 99 names as well, like his creator. As we know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has how many names? 99 names. The same way we know that the Holy Prophet himself has 99 names. Why is this? This is because as the creator himself is unique and he is separate from the creation, within the creation, in the creation itself, the Holy Prophet himself is separate and unique from the rest of creation. Amongst all of creation, it is just the Holy Prophet who has a certain position. He has a certain place. He has a certain maqam. He has a certain station. He has a certain standing that nobody, none of the creation can approach. None of the creation can come close. Let not the world think that the followers of Ahlul Bayt, that the Shia are only thinking about their Imams, but not about the Holy Prophet. No. What is the hadith that we hear from the Imams? What is the one that is quoted by the Holy Prophet? He says that awwaluna Muhammad, wa awsatuna Muhammad, wa akhiruna Muhammad. That if you love the Imams, that if you love Imam Hussein, and very beautifully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed the birth of the Holy Prophet after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein. Very wonderfully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed the birth of the Holy Prophet after Arba'een and after Ashura. Why? Because this is the fulfillment of the prophecy of the Holy Prophet who says, Hussein is from me, wa ana min Hussein, I am from Hussein. So it's only after the death of Abu Abdullah Hussein that we say if the world is in darkness like it is today, if the world is in ignorance like it is today, if the world is displaying qualities of Jahiliyyah like it is today, then we go back to the Holy Prophet. We are celebrating not just the birth of the Holy Prophet, but we are asking these questions from each other, from society, from our culture, from our religion. Is that can we solve the problems that are going around today? Can we solve this problem of violence in the name of religion that is going on today? Can we solve the problem of insulting each other's deen today and being respectful, which is the solution? Can we solve these issues? Yes, we can, but we have to go back to this Holy Prophet. When you look at the Holy Quran, my brothers and sisters, the Holy Quran is addressing many people. It is speaking to the kuffar, correct? When it speaks to the kuffar, it speaks to them indirectly. Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun. Say, O Holy Prophet, O those who are kuffar. Sometimes it refers to the Ahlul Kitab. So, Qul ya Ahlul Kitab, O you people of the book. Correct? Who are the Ahlul Kitab? They are the Christians and the Jewish communities. Sometimes the Quran speaks in a certain way which nobody else can understand. Neither Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu can understand, neither the kuffar can understand, neither the Ahlul Kitab can understand. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks in such a manner, He is speaking only to the Holy Prophet, upon whom the Quran was revealed. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته من خشية الله. If we had revealed this Quran upon the mountains, then you have seen the mountains. How? Crumbling and trembling with the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I say to you, those mountains that we have, which are the highest mountains in this country that we have? What are the highest mountains in this country? In this country. Not the Rockies, come on. Not the Appalachian, come on, brothers and sisters, in this continent. Huh? Mount McKinley is in Alaska. What is the highest? I was expecting you to have better geography, but after all, we're in America. Subhanallah Muhammad wa. Why America? Why do we have the worst geography in the world? In the world we have the worst geography. It reflects spiritually also we have the worst geography. We have to improve that. But what I'm saying to you is that like we have Mount McKinley in Alaska, which is the highest mountain in this continent, not in the world. In the world, like this, that mountain will tremble and that mountain will crumble with the power of the Holy Prophet. It is something that you and I cannot understand. That is something that you and I will have to spend years and years and books thinking about the power of the heart and the qalb of the Holy Prophet. And the position of the Holy Prophet. And the love of the Holy Prophet. You understand? The way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking to him, Taha, or Tasin, or the huruf al-muqatti'ah that we have, only the Holy Prophet is able to understand. Once, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq was asked by somebody, his companion. He said, describe aql for me. Describe aql. What is aql? Intellect. We need aql to do everything, right? What is the difference between human beings and animals? We have aql. Do animals have aql? No. Angels have pure aql, but they do not have the desires that we have. So aql is common between the human being and between the angels. So if you want to become like angels, you have to follow your intellect. So the Imam was describing the intellect to this person. He said intellect means, in a descriptive way, that you have virtue, you have knowledge, you have piety. 7 or 8 good qualities the Imam described to this questioner. And then we see this riwayah that the Imam pauses for 1 second. He pauses for one place. He pauses in one place and he says that all these qualities, the perfection and the kamal of all aql, is only in the Holy Prophet. Is only in the Holy Prophet. And you will never reach this position. You, meaning human being, the Imam is saying, will never reach this position. So the Imams themselves accept that ahead of them, that above them, that beyond them, that at the top of their list is the Holy Prophet, who's the Imam of all the Imams, who's the Rasul among all the Rasul, who's the Nabi amongst all the Anbiya. He's the Wasi, he's the Wali amongst all the Awliya.
Nare Takbir! Nare Risalat!
Ya Rasulullah!
Nare Haydari!
Ya Ali!
Salawat bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad!
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Brothers and sisters, this position of the Holy Prophet is something that we are just talking about once and we're trying to understand once, but there is no comparison to where he is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, describes himself in the Holy Quran. He says, the last part of the verse is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Alladhi yaraka hina taqum, the one who sees you while you rise, wa taqallubuka fis sajidin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I am the one who has seen you when you have risen, when you stood up. When did the Holy Prophet stand up? We don't know. What time is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about? We don't know. Was there any other creation at the time when the Holy Prophet was rising? We don't know. We don't know what the secret between the Creator and His first, most perfect and His first creation was. We don't know. What was the love and the intimacy and the dialogue and the reflection between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Holy Prophet? We don't know. It is just an ishara, it is just an indication. وَتَقَلُّبَكَ فِي السَّاجِدِينَ. And the way, O you Holy Prophet, who you came from the pure fathers and the pure mothers, the pure fathers and the pure mothers, those mothers who made sure that their children were able to become the fathers and the grandfathers of the Holy Prophet. You understand? Those fathers who chose the proper daughters for the wives for their sons, so that they could become the mothers for the subsequent ancestors of the Holy Prophet. It is foolish, my brothers and sisters, to believe that the ancestors of the Holy Prophet na'udhu were impure. It is foolish, my brothers and sisters, to believe that the fathers and grandfathers of the Holy Prophet were mushrikeen or they had shirk na'udhu and they were not Muslims. Are you telling me that the man whose heart is more powerful than all the mountains, the Quran is proclaiming, that his fathers or grandfathers or his uncle who raised him, na'udhu billah, were not from the Muslimin or not from the Mu'mineen? Certainly that's something that our intellect does not accept. So we say that this verse of the Holy Quran, which says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has seen your movement to those who did sajda, those who used to do sajda only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who were muwahhideen from the beginning. These are all the ancestors of the Holy Prophet, going back to the Nabi Adam salawatullah. So when we see this, my brothers and sisters, we see that coming to the life and to the career of the Holy Prophet, there are many things that we can talk about, and many practical things for us after the fadail and after the place of the Holy Prophet. After the maqam mahmud, which is only for the Holy Prophet, we see that there's many things from his community life, from his practical life that we can learn. I'd like to say to you today, there's a wonderful book that we have in English, freely available online. Please, this is the homework that we have, and this is somewhere you will get homework from Saturday to Saturday. Please go and try to read this book, Sunan al-Nabi, with your family. Go and search for it online. It is the manners and the adab of the Holy Prophet as described by one of our ulama, Allama Tabatabai, may Allah have mercy upon him. he described this beautiful, it's translated very good into English by one of the brothers, and it speaks about the characteristics of the Holy Prophet. So we see the social aspect of the life of the Holy Prophet that we are interested in today. Salawat ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Why? Because a leader is only known by how much he lives in the society. Let me ask you this. If you have a leader, okay, and that leader does not eat what you eat, does not drive what you drive, does not suffer through what you suffer, does not live in the house that you live in, will there be respect for that leader, or will there be disrespect for that leader? Let me ask you this. There will be disrespect for that leader, am I correct? All the revolutions that happen. What did the revolution happen in Russia? The revolution of communism? It happened in the 1917 or 20, right? And they removed this czar and the leader and they took his life. Why? They said because the people are all suffering, they're all hungry and poor, you're living in a palace, you're living in a castle. The history of this country, what happened? The Americans rebelled against the Germans, correct? No. What did they rebel against?
British.
The British. And what were the complaints against the British? Taxes. Why? Because they said the Queen and the King were living very nice lives and we in America have to farm and give them the taxes. So they never saw a leader who was like them, who was living in homes like their house. While we come to Surah Azab, we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to the Muslimin, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, when you are going to the house of the Holy Prophet and du'aytum, when you are invited to ta'am, to food, when your food is done while eating with the Holy Prophet, fantashiru, and do not remain mustanisina li hadith, because this used to yu'dhi al-Nabi, this used to hurt and this used to take from the time of the Holy Prophet. So put all the world leaders on one side, my brothers and sisters, put all the czars and the presidents and the prime ministers and the kings on one side, look at their lifestyle and look at this one verse from the Holy Quran. Surah Azab, verse number 50, if I'm not mistaken. 33, 50. That he is living with them, they are coming to eat in his house. And when they come to eat in his house, they are performing some things that they should not do. They are looking at some places they should not be looking, and they would sit and just sometimes waste his time. And the Holy Prophet would not say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Wallahu la yastahi min al-haq. I am the one telling you, O believers, remove yourselves from the house of the Holy Prophet. Do not take from his time, he has a lot to do. Look at the difference, my brothers and sisters. Look at the difference between the leaders of the world and the Holy Prophet. Look at the leaders and the president of the world and the policies and the actions and the lifestyle that they lead, and look at this one verse from the Holy Prophet in our Quran. Salawat ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Inshallah, we can move forward a little bit. Hopefully our body heat will be able to.
बराए खुशनुद इमाम ज़माना बुलंदतर सलवात
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
I want to narrate to you, because there were some requests for history, some of the aspects from history from the battle, from one of the battles, where we see the practice of the Holy Prophet, about how he lived. If these cartoons and all the silly claims that are being made on media, on our media, and very nicely one of the former governors of Vermont, he came out and said that these people who attacked are just as Muslim as he is. He's not Muslim. He came and said they are just as Muslim as he is, because they are not talking about the true Islam. When you come to the Battle of Khaybar, what happened? Khaybar. In the Battle of Khaybar, there was this big area which had many forts. Alright? Stay with me, had many different forts. And the Jewish community there had these different forts where they lived. So the Holy Prophet entered with his companions with around 2,000 people. This is after the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. Islam is slowly growing. And his objective, some people will say, was to go on to fight, was to go on to destroy, and was to go on to plunder, for example. Some people will say. But let's go back to the events of this battle. When we go back to the events of the Battle of Khaybar, we see that the Holy Prophet is saying to his companions, will someone come from amongst you who will go and stand up to that fort? There are different forts within this compound, and go and spread my message to them. Spread my message to them. One companion comes, he goes, he cannot do it, he comes back. The first one. You understand the first one. The second one goes, and he comes back, and the second one, may Allah give him his recompense. He comes and he talks about the bravery. He says, oh, those people are very strong. Oh, those people are very nice. And that is lowering the morale of the Muslimin. The Holy Prophet becomes angry. He becomes angry with this second person who you know. And he says, tomorrow I will give the flag to one who loves Allah and who loves his messenger, and Allah and his messenger love him. So Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib. You all know this, that Amir al-Mu'minin was given the standard, no doubt. Okay? But one part of the hadith, my brothers and sisters, we don't hear about. One end of that we don't hear about. When the Holy Prophet calls Imam Ali, and he gives him his sword, and he gives him his armor, and he gives him his turban, and he prepares him, the last words that he says to him, that is the entire message of the Holy Prophet. The last words that he says to him are the entire message of the Holy Prophet. What does he say to him? He says, oh Ali, go to these people, and when you go to them, ask them to accept Islam. Ask them to submit to their Lord. And if they do not submit to their Lord, ask them to stop fighting the Muslimin. And if they do not stop fighting the Muslimin, prepare to defend yourself, O Ali. Pay close attention. First thing he says, what? Ask them to do what? Accept Islam. If they do not accept Islam, ask them to? Yes, refrain from fighting Islam and give the jizya, because we are in control of this area. And the third thing, if they do not do this, prepare to defend yourself. Does he talk about attacking? Does he talk about plunder? Does he talk about killing? No, he does not. And then the last word he says, oh Ali, if you have guided one person from amongst them, if you guide one person from amongst them, then it is better than spending 1,000 red-haired camels in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the philosophy of Muhammad. This is the political theory of Muhammad. This is the actions of Muhammad. He says, oh Ali, if you guide one person from those who are in that fort, who are going to try to kill you, then it is better for you than you have given 1,000 red camels in the way of Allah. What does it mean, what are 1,000 red camels? I don't understand this. I lived in Milwaukee in 2015. I don't understand what a red camel is. I've never even seen a camel in my life. Sallallahu Muhammad wa They don't have camels in sub-freezing temperature, do they? They don't have camels. Camels can't survive, mashallah. But we can. So, that's why we're better than camels. But the better thing, my brothers and sisters, is a red-haired camel means the most expensive thing. What is the most expensive car in the world today? The car. What is the most expensive car in the world today? Let's say a Bugatti. Someone said Bugatti, mashallah. We know these things, but we don't know the why. If you give 1,000 Bugattis in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you give that much amount, then that is not as good for you if you guide one person. If you guide one person toward Islam and toward the deen of Islam. This is the philosophy of the Holy Prophet when he is sending his best companion and his successor toward the guidance of the people of Khaybar. Salawat ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This was the general philosophy of the Holy Prophet, which he was speaking about. One person comes from there during this siege, 10 days. 10 days. 10 days the Muslimin are hungry. They do not have any food because the fort with the food is not accessible to them. One man comes from the other side and he says to the Prophet, he says, the water for the fort is coming from that side. You are taking that water. Why don't you go and stop the water from going inside the fort? Then that will starve them. That will prevent them from getting supplies, and they will have to come out. The Holy Prophet says, I will never commit such an action. I will never do such an action. It reminds you of Imam Hussein, doesn't it? It reminds you of Imam Hussein in Karbala again. That Imam Hussein, Ana min al-Hussein, is the same thing. That Imam Hussein is reviving the sunnah of the Holy Prophet. He never cuts off the water to the enemy whenever he could. And the Holy Prophet says that these forts of Shiq and Nasat, these forts that were there, he never cut off the water to these forts at all. And the third thing, my brothers and sisters, and very important thing inshallah for us today, is the multicultural nature of the community of the Holy Prophet. Multicultural nature, very diverse nature of the community of the Holy Prophet. We today in this part of the country realize that there are some communities which have only one language. There are some communities which have one language and maybe they tolerate another language. And mashallah, there's a community like ours which has many different languages. When you come here, you see that the recitation before the program, after the program is in many different languages. All the different languages, and mashallah, you speak. And I will tell you that this is the future of the Islamic community in this country. Those big communities which only have one language are realizing that those with multicultural mu'mineen and muslimin from across the world are more beneficial, and they have, obviously, more resources. When we go back to the life and the career of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we see that he has anticipated this. Again, a good leader is someone who sees what is coming in the future and he lays the seeds for this. Where do we see this? You will say to me, Moulana, there were only Arab people there. There were no Iranians with the Holy Prophet. There were no people from India with the Holy Prophet. There were no people from Egypt with the Holy Prophet. I say to you, yes. But human beings are such, if you give them 3 people, they will have 4 nations among them. This is how the human being, if you have 3 people, they will say we belong to 4 different nations and 4 different groups. This is how sadly our mentality is. So you had the Muhajirun and you had the Ansar. In Medina, when these battles were going on, the Holy Prophet has them. And Abdullah bin Ubay, who was one of the Munafiqeen, he comes and he starts to create some trouble. His son comes to the Holy Prophet and says, Holy Prophet, this man has been creating a lot of trouble. If you give me permission, I will remove him. Now the son of Abdullah bin Ubay was a mu'min who realized the mistakes of his father. And the Holy Prophet said, this is not the solution. What does he do? He takes the Muhajirun and the Ansar and he says, from here to that place, 1 or 2 farsakh, I think. 6 or 7 kilometers, 4 or 5 miles. He says, get on your camels, get on your gear and run. Where are we going, Rasulullah? Run. What do we have to do, Rasulullah? Just run and come back to me. So 4 miles they go on their camels and on their horses, and some of them walking, and 4 miles they come back. What happens at the end? What happens at the end of an exercise? People become tired. They become sweaty, correct? Who becomes the enemy? Not each other, but the coach who's telling them to run. And this is what happened with the Holy Prophet. When they came back, all the seeds of dissension that Abdullah bin Ubay tried to put into their hearts were all gone. They said, Rasulullah, forget the fight, please give us some water. Rasulullah, forget the war we were fighting, please give us some food. Do not make us run these kind of exercises again.